and welcome back to another episode of How to Save the Planet. I'm joined today by a great guest, Louisa. Say hello.
Hi.
So Louisa, who are you? Tell us about yourself.
So I head up the creative and content team at Friends of the Earth. So we make things like this podcast, videos, design stuff.
Sweet. So today we're going to be talking about all things elections and why we should care about the environment in elections. What are you feeling about elections? Talk to me.
I'm feeling mildly exhausted about elections. I was, thinking in setting this up, I think we're now on the third election in 5 years in the UK. And obviously that's exhausting in itself, not to mention the amount of other stuff that's going on in UK politics, which I personally can get a bit overwhelmed by, and also end up being I want to be kept up to date, I want to be making sure I'm doing my bit, but also it's exhausting, and sometimes I want to pretend that the outside world isn't happening.
Right, give me a bubble.
Yeah, and then you have worldwide politics as well, and I'm already starting to worry about the American elections and all sorts. So
American elections are long haul. We need to strap ourselves in for that.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
I know. And I've never run a marathon, so
and I never will.
Exactly.
I hear that that's an accurate analogy.
Yes. Well, anyway, this is why I'm very glad we've got a really great guest with us today. Rosemary Harris, who's a political campaigner here at Friends of the Earth, to talk us through all things election and why we need to use our voice for climate justice. Welcome, Rosemary.
Hello.
Rosemary, tell us a bit about yourself.
Yes, I'm a political campaigner. I've been at Friends of the Earth for about 2 years now. I work in our political team, which means I basically spend time advising all of our campaigners on how they can achieve the political goals of their campaign, whether it's convincing politicians to care about what they're talking about, getting politicians to listen to the thousands of people on the ground who are asking for environmental change. And I do think, I too am exhausted of elections, and we've had 3 in 5 years, not even mentioning that whole Brexit vote that we had to do.
I knew I was forgetting a stressful something.
Yeah, that was tiring. But this is the first election where people are really talking about the environment, and where it seems like it's something that politicians actually have to care about and prove that they care about. Which is nice, There's a fight between calling it the Brexit election and the climate election, and whoever thought that would be happening?
Louisa is dying in the
Sorry,
corner.
I thought that was going to be positive.
No, I just realised it was just the idea of those being two quite big things that this swings on and could define, just the next future.
Yeah. Hashtag no pressure. But Rosemary, okay, let's bring this back. Let's take this back to basics. If I care about the environment, why should I care about the election?
Well, as I said, so there's 2 reasons why. In general, you should care about elections because much as we might have problems with how our politics is run, and there's a lot of complaints about who is in charge and things like that, ultimately you are electing people that hold power over the laws that we make in this country. And while it's really important that we all make the individual changes that we can and that we try our hardest to live our most environmentally friendly lives, we all know that the climate crisis is such that we do actually need really urgent action from our elected MPs. And so, the more that you can elect people that care about the environment and make it clear to people that you care about the environment and that it's something that they're going to be accountable on, then the more action will be taken.
I think even though that's such a clear and obvious thing, I think it's so important to remind yourself of that, because when you're in that haze and that fog, it's just my natural instinct is don't engage, because it's just easier not to.
Yeah, so one of the things that I tell people about politicians, especially when it's people going to meet them, is that at the end of the day, they're all wearing suits and striding around Westminster and looking really important, but at the end of the day, they're accountable to you and not the other way around. We're electing them, meant to be every 5 years, but every 2 years, apparently, they get a performance review, which is effectively your vote, and they have to make sure that they're doing the things that you want them to do.
So in that, I've always struggled a little bit with caring about party manifestos, I guess, is probably what I would say.
Oh my God, yes.
Because they're long, they make a lot of promises that don't seem like they can be trusted. How does that really work in terms of translating into real action after?
Yeah, I don't think that any parties write their manifestos thinking that they're just sort of fibbing about what they're talking about. I know that that's how we feel. I don't think that that is the case. I think that drilling down into the real specifics of like the policies they're putting in there and the budgets that they're putting to things is important if you're like an environmental campaigner or you're working in that field. But ultimately, you can kind of look at it as just like a set of core promises that they're making and what their intentions are as a party if they get into government. I think what's really important about the manifestos is that actually it's something that you can hold them to account for. So maybe they don't mean it, but they've said it and they've written it down. So you are within your rights as a constituent to hold MPs to what they said they were going to do.
Okay, so I want to segue onto a question I have for you, Mana. You're a climate campaigner here, and there are things that people can do, right? This isn't a kind of come up with a solution, please, candidates. Like, we have solutions for them, right?
No, absolutely. The like good news and like the silver lining in everything that we do is that the solutions are there, and we know the solutions, and they're achievable. The only thing that we have missing is kind of political ambition and political will to deliver on those solutions. So we have at Friends of the Earth our climate action plan, which has our kind of 6 points, or kind of 6 action areas that we want the government to take action on. And that includes things like, for example, transport. We know transport is the biggest sector for our emissions in the UK. So it's a very clear plan that says, hey, government, stop doing this on transport, on nature, on our buildings, our homes, heating our homes, and start doing all of the good things that will not only stop like kind of the climate crisis, but also really like kind of benefit our lives. And I think we need to, like, in the election as well, and in everything that we do, is talk about the co-benefits. So, for instance, having warmer homes because they're insulated better is not only good for the environment, but it's also great for families who struggle during winter. And as we know, the climate crisis makes weather much more extreme. So we could have harsher winter where this will become even more important. And if we have better transport, hey, I don't need to use my car. Oh, what? Air pollution. Our air is cleaner. Yay.
Yay, kids can breathe.
Exactly. Their lungs are not small anymore because of air pollution. Woo. But yeah, so we know the answers and we know the solutions. And we just, now it's kind of the role of your voices and using a period like the kind of the election to let decision makers know that you want the climate crisis sorted and tackled head on.
So when it comes to candidates who are standing for office, what do we talk to them about? Like, I gotta say, I haven't really ever crossed paths with that many candidates.
But also, like, I think if you're not prepped, like, they just appear, then you don't want to be flustered and you want to be like, okay.
Because they will be going around doing the door knocking thing.
Exactly. Or they could be at...
The door knocking thing has a word for it.
Canvassing.
Okay, so they'll be out canvassing.
Canvassing for votes.
Yes. Or that's why you are a political campaigner, Rosemary.
Knows the words.
Yes.
She knows the words.
Like a political dictionary.
So they'll be canvassing, they'll be knocking on your door. What are we going to say to them?
Yeah.
If you have something specific in your constituency or any issue that you're particularly worried about, just ask them about that. Go for it. But if you don't want to be flustered, if you're not sure how you'd go about asking that question, and also like what you're actually looking for in the answer from them, which can be just as important. If you go to friendsoftheearth.uk/general-election, there's a list we've got 5 questions that we've written that you could ask your candidate that we sort of think signal that they're taking climate breakdown seriously. So we've got one about what they would do about the climate emergency if they were elected. We've got one asking if they'd make action on climate breakdown a deal breaker in how they vote in Parliament. We've got a question on how they'll tackle the public transport issues, how they plan to support getting rid of plastic pollution, how they plan to support doubling UK tree cover. Tree cover is really, really important for fighting climate breakdown. And then finally, we've got one asking their position on a 3rd runway at Heathrow. Under those questions, we sort of list a few things that you can look out for in their answers that might be helpful when they're talking maybe at you when you've asked them a question. I've realised that I said 5 questions, and what I actually meant was 6 questions. There were 6 questions.
That's fine. The more the merrier.
The more the merrier.
So, okay, what I'm sort of taking, though, from this and from what we said to candidates about candidates earlier, those questions hopefully will be really useful if you do want to engage in, like, a longer conversation, or you are, in a frame of mind to, like, take them to task a little bit. But if you're not, you don't remember those questions, you don't have your phone on you to, like, look at them whilst you're talking to someone, like, it's still key that they just know that you care about this stuff, right?
Yeah, for sure. if you don't have time, you don't want to talk to them, again, you don't have your phone, just tell them that you care about climate and the environment. Tell them that it's important to you. Just ask them what they do, even if they don't give you the answer that you want or you don't necessarily take in a lot of their answer. They're going to be going door to door around their constituency, and the more people they just hear those words from, the more they'll understand that there's a demand from that in their constituency.
I want to jump now from the thing that I knew what it was but didn't know the word for to the word that I keep hearing but I don't know what the thing is. Hustings. Everyone keeps talking about going to hustings.
I do think of just like a husky dog now. I don't know.
That sounds so adorable.
Yeah.
Preferable, maybe.
I feel like what's going to happen now is my answer's just like only going to be disappointing, because it's what it isn't is a gathering of huskies, and what it is a gathering of parliamentary candidates, which is less